What up, cucks? It's your boy, the hater, up in this piece. And the truth is, the truth. We're in a new season of The Hater, and we're also in a new season of wrestling, because it's after WrestleMania. And that means, since we did The Hater reboot, it's time to talk some more shit about some more jobbers. Specifically, one of my favorites. If anything can be said about last season, it's that I turned on Gunther. I used to like the guy, but then a moment happened and I realized, wait a second, why do I like this guy? Aristotle once said, an unexamined life is not worth living. And I will extend this to wrestling. An unexamined wrestler is not worth liking. So I started thinking to myself, why does everyone like this fat jobber? Now, he's not fat, he lost the weight, I don't care. He'll always be a fat jobber to me. When they hired him, he was fat. You know what I'm saying? Now let's get to it. Number one, we used to have a wrestler who was also a charisma vacuum and was maybe 100 times better in the ring than Gunther. He looked better, he wrestled better, he was stronger, he was faster, he was more athletic, and he had a lot more moves. And the wrestler that I'm speaking of course, is Antonio Cesaro, also known as Cesaro, also known now as Claudio Castagnoli, where they were going to use him in AEW. Oh, Vince McMahon dropped the ball with Claudio. Yeah, Tony Khan's doing a much better job. He's like the fourth guy in a faction of jobbers. But anyways, it's neither here nor there. Let's get to it. Claudio Castagnoli, Cesaro, whatever you want to call him, is a talented wrestler. First of all, the fact that he can suplex nearly everybody and that he can lift people like the Great Khali already makes him an awesome wrestler in the context of the modern day. Now, despite this, Cesaro had like a 10-year or 15-year, whatever it was, something along those lines, tenure in the WWE. And what came of this? Absolutely nothing came of this. Do you understand me? Nothing came of it. For years we had to hear how Cesaro was just about to break through. Cesaro was destined to be a main eventer at WrestleMania. Cesaro this, Cesaro that. Cesaro had a boring-ass U.S. title reign and then bounced around different tag teams, winning the tag team title, which of course everybody knows has absolutely zero value. Now, for some reason, people are under the impression that a far less talented version of Cesaro, called Gunther, who is the exact same thing except the only difference is Gunther's from Austria and Cesaro is from the neighboring Switzerland. Now, I know people are thinking, Gunther is a serious wrestler. He respects the mat. The mat is sacred. He's a jobber, and so was Cesaro. All right, let's get to the meat of this debate that I'm having with myself. Cesaro had obviously far better moves. He had the giant swing. The neutralizer was cool. He started doing his old moves like the little airplane spin Argentine backbreaker, the Ricola bomb on occasion. Then he started doing other cool moves that were like new to him as well, like the 619, also known as the Swiss 19. He did that suplex where he would grab the guy from the apron and superplex him from the ropes. That was awesome. You know what I mean? I don't know if I mentioned the giant swing. I probably did. Various European uppercuts that were cool. And more importantly, he tried to get himself over, right? But he couldn't. Same thing with Gunther. I know people think he's over massively, but he's as over as Cesaro was. Not anymore, not any less. The crowd doesn't get excited when Gunther comes out. They just wait for the other guy to see what's going to happen. So, I personally have no reason to believe that Gunther is going to fare any better than Cesaro. The truth is, whether it's Vince McMahon or Triple H, the money is going to speak to them both. At the end of the day, you need to be over with the fans and you need to be charismatic. One thing that I will give Cucky Rhodes credit for is that he is more over with the fans than a lot of other people. He's nowhere near as over as like legends, but he's more over than Nakamura is today. He's not more over than Nakamura was, right? But there you have it. That's another one. Nakamura, another example. Another guy that was going to blaze the trail. And this guy, after his mid-card run, he was going to do great things. And he did great things by winning the Royal Rumble. But what happened then? He didn't do shit. He did fuck all after that. I think he's won like 3 matches since the Royal Rumble. You know what I mean? So with all that being said, let's think about what the ceiling is for Gunther, right? The truth is, and you can disagree all you want, I could give a rat's ass. We're Hater Reboot. We say whatever the hell we want this season, cucks. But I wanted to compare Cesaro to Gunther because they are very comparable. except the only difference is that Cesaro is better than Gunther in every metric. I guess the only difference is Cesaro was bald and Gunther still has hair, so that's about it. But Cesaro is more aesthetically appealing. He's in better shape. He's 100 times stronger. He's way more athletic. He has better moves that he does in a more technically sound way, right? And he was exciting to watch in the ring. Gunther is absolutely none of those things, but he has the same shortcoming as Cesaro in that he is boring, right? Now, Gunther at least is smart. Gunther understands that he is a boring, charisma-less nobody, right? So his character is that of a boring, charisma-less nobody. Not everybody is going to be charismatic, right? We see that there's a lot of people in WWE and NXT and any other company, including obviously TNA and AEW. There's a lot of people that have absolutely zero charisma, but they refuse to accept that they have zero charisma. Like, for example, Gunther at least gets it, right? Kozlov understood this. But we have people like Noam Dar, who's out there in NXT cutting these cringe-worthy promos. I know that he's supposed to be kind of cringe, but all the people in the metaphor with Noam Dar, they're all boring, right? Lash Legend and the other one, the other girl, they're boring. Nobody cares. Oro Mensah, this guy has absolutely zero personality. I never want to see this cocksucker again on my TV. And Noam Dar is the worst of the worst. He's under the impression that he's some sort of like interesting, funny, charismatic guy, but he isn't. He's boring. He's also boring, cucks. You know, there's wrestlers out there that seemingly have accepted this. The Creed brothers, fucking Wardlow, you know what I mean? A lot of wrestlers in different companies have accepted that they're never going to be like actually interesting, right? They don't have the charisma, and quite frankly, even Wardlow, to be honest, doesn't have like that Brock Lesnar presence. Maybe it's because he's been booked into oblivion, but Gunther definitely doesn't have it, and Cesaro didn't either, right? And that's exactly where we find ourselves. We find ourselves in a scenario where we have to pretend that for some reason, quote unquote, this time it's different, right? Now, logic dictates that at some point it will be different. There will eventually be someone, I don't think that person's in the company yet, who will be like a Cesaro or a Gunther that will get over and will get a push to the main event. But I haven't seen it since, motherfuckers. I guess Sheamus is the closest one. But Sheamus is interesting because Sheamus, number one, was pretty decent on the mic, and he was very entertaining in the ring. And more important than everything, he had like an incredibly unique look. And that got him far, right? Also, Sheamus was big and fucking strong. So it's not like he could lift Big Show. You know what I'm saying? Sheamus was a hoss. But Cesaro was also a hoss, and nothing happened with him, right? So the odds are going to be against Gunther. And this video is not about Gunther. It's not even about Cesaro. It's about the fact that not everyone can be a star, right? I mean, nowadays, I guess the best argument that Gunther is going to make it is that Cesaro had to compete against like real wrestlers, and Gunther has to compete against Cody Rhodes. So, you know, when compared to Cody Rhodes, Gunther might look like a main eventer. But when compared to Al Snow, he looks a lot like Al Snow, except minus the charisma and the physique and everything else that Al Snow did better than him. He was better in the ring. He was better than everything, right? So the point is, nobody can really point out to what makes Gunther great. Nobody can point out to what makes Ilya Dragunov great. Every wrestler is kind of the same. And as a result, we have no reason to believe that anybody around the WWE now is anything special, right? Unless this person is somehow presented differently. You can take a look, like just look at the promo that Braun Breaker cut when he like thanked Baron Corbin and all that goofy shit, right? The promo was natural. He was speaking from the heart, basically. He was like, thank you guys, you went on this journey with me. He didn't fuck anything up. I mean, he doesn't have like the best delivery, but his delivery is better than Gunther's. It's better than fucking Noam Dar's. It's better than everyone that I mentioned, basically, right? So he actually has a shot, right? Gunther's only hope is to get paired up with Paul Heyman, but let's be real. That would be a huge step down. Paul Heyman has managed Brock and Roman Reigns most recently. And those guys are obviously legendary main eventers, right? Gunther doesn't have the physique or the presence or the believability of Brock Lesnar. In my opinion, he doesn't even have the charisma and comedic timing of Brock Lesnar. Let's compare Gunther to Brock Lesnar, right? Like, Brock Lesnar is better in literally every possible metric that matters as a wrestler, right? Brock Lesnar definitely has the more aesthetic physique. He's bigger. He's obviously stronger. He's obviously faster. He's obviously more athletic. He does the F5, which is an awesome move, right? He has a better pedigree, right? He's got more history, and he's just awesome. And he's got cool tattoos, cucks. But Gunther and these other indie jobbers are never going to cut it. And if they do, the ratings are going to continue to plummet. And that's where we find ourselves now, motherfucks. We need people that draw, not boring jobbers.